We are here again to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we've all heard the adage, it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm so excited because the artwork, as you were walking in, I had a chance to go out into the lobby as we were coming in just a moment ago. The artwork is absolutely stunning. And I do encourage you to take a minute to see it. And it was young people who did this artwork, the Los Artes group. And they are with us today. They're led by Martine Moreno. And the YMCA gives this group a facility to be able to use their crafts and to build their talents. Martine encourages them, and Maricopa County helps fund them for their supplies. So I do want to recognize Martine and 11 of the artists. Could you please stand very quickly and be recognized for your gift? Thank you so much. We appreciate you. It is my pleasure at this time to bring forward Ms. Kristen Cray. She is the chairwoman of the City of Glendale Diversity Committee. She is going to announce and introduce our recipient of the 2012 Promoting Inclusiveness Award. Please join me in welcoming Kristen to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Susan. It's always my privilege and honor to be able to introduce the recipient of our 2012 Promoting Inclusiveness Award. Each year during this event, the City of Glendale recognizes one individual who promotes inclusiveness in our community and exhibits the beliefs and qualities that are consistent with those that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. lived by and advocated. This is an opportunity for us to honor the accomplishments and important contributions of those in our community who keep the vision of Dr. King alive. This year, Mr. Randolph Stephen Elias Lumm will join a prestigious list of Promoting Inclusiveness awardees who continue Dr. King's work of promoting a society that is just, peaceful, and understanding. Mr. Lumm's community activism spans decades, including his work organizing, participation in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. marches, while the NAACP was striving for a national Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. While Mr. Lumm's profession has traditionally been in counseling, he has a long history of being an active community member. He served on the governing board of Pendergast Elementary School District, where he worked to ensure equality and inclusiveness for parents and students in school events and academic activities. He has also served as the president of the National Caucus of Hispanic School Board Members and the Arizona Hispanic and Native American School Board Forum, encouraging members there to improve educational institutions at state and national levels and advocating for positive changes and highlighting the contributions of the respective cultures. As chair of the Phoenix chapter of the Arizona Hispanic Community Forum, Mr. Lumm organized the group's participation in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. marches and extended participation in several rallies and marches advocating for justice for all minorities in the areas of education, economy, immigration reform, and employment practices. Today, Mr. Lumm is committed to ensuring educational access for everyone in Maricopa County, regardless of students' ethnic background, religion, or economic status, as the Maricopa County Community College District's board president. I am honored to introduce someone who has spent a career reaching out to our community and inspiring others to improve not only their lives, but the lives of others. The winner of our Glendale 2012 Promoting Inclusiveness Award is Mr. Randolph Stephen Elias Lumm. Please join me at the stage.
I just
wanted to show you that.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Now, I'm going to carry it for you though, because it's heavy.
Thank you. Wow, I'm really honored and proud to be here and humbled to be of such great community servants here and to be selected among all the choices and heroes of mine that are in this room. I'd like to first of all thank the mayor, the city council, and the city manager, because of Glendale having such an event. I mean, they're celebrating inclusiveness, they're celebrating diversity, and they think it's important. Now, our city's is where the pavement hit the road, so to speak, where they build neighborhoods, they build communities. This is where the action happens, you know. So I appreciate the City of Glendale doing this. Now there's some people in this room I'm very humbled to be with, you know, Sandra Kennedy, Mal Hanna. I knew Mal when he was in the City Council of Flagstaff. My school board members, Doyle Burke is the new president, and now he served in the 37 years at the school district, and Mayor Gomez, and all the work he's done in Tolleson and at the Australia Mountain Community College. So I'm really humbled to be here. You know, prejudice is learned. You're not born with it. A child is not born prejudiced or fearful or mistrust. He learns that from somebody. And I learned that to be inclusive, to not be prejudiced from the work of Dr. Martin Luther King, from the freedom riders. They were my heroes. When I was real young, being Catholic, I would go to the public school. My middle name was Stephen, so I'd look up Saint Stephen. I'd read about the saints and how they sacrificed their lives for Christ, for what they believed in, and the apostles. And that was my heroes. And then Martin Luther King and the Freedom Riders, when I got older, started becoming like, that is a man, that is a hero, that is a man of character, and that is someone who I want to be like. So I want to thank you. And I remember the words of Martin Luther King that really inspired me. I have a dream that someday my 4 children will be judged by their character and not the color of their skin. So thank you very much. I am honored and humbled. God bless.
Congratulations again. It is my pleasure to welcome now a person who really doesn't need an introduction. He's likely familiar to all of you in this room, at least most of you in this room. He's a community leader. He is a diversity activist. He is my friend. Please join me in welcoming Glendale's Diversity Administrator, Mr. Don Logan, to the podium. He will introduce our keynote speaker.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Glendale. Thought for a moment that I was at home practicing. I am thankful to be here today and have the distinct honor on behalf of the Diversity Committee to introduce our keynote speaker. But before I do that, I have a story I need to tell because I think it's reflective of the Diversity Committee's motto. And that motto is promoting diversity through inclusiveness. You see, 8 months ago, one of our colleagues, City of Glendale, Eric Strunk, sent us a memo and said, hey, I saw this PBS documentary last night, and this person who's one of the original freedom riders would probably be a great person to have present at the MLK lunch. So we followed up on that and we did some research, and our speaker, Jim Swerg, wasn't easy to find. We had to do some investigative work. He's on the down low. But we went down low and we found him and found out that of all places he was located, it was right here in the state of Arizona. And for those of you who know me and hear me talk about Dr. King and Dr. King's legacy, I'm a firm believer that Dr. King would not have been successful in achieving his pursuit of civil rights if, in fact, he had surrounded himself with people only like himself. It took people who were part of the majority that believed in the vision that Dr. King aspired to bring about the change that was needed in terms of civil rights. We have the good fortunes of having one of those people here with us today. Rather than bore you with reading Mr. Swerg's bio, I'm proud to present a video that was developed right here by our City of Glendale employees. Through the innovativeness of our diversity committee, the partnership of our marketing department, and the guidance of our city cable, we have for you, Mr. Swerd, a special video presentation that serves as a commemorative of your visit, in anticipation of your presentation, and a reflection of where we've been. And I ask each of you, as you watch this video, to give some thought in terms of what would you do? What would you do if you walked in this man's shoes? And that serves as a backdrop to the presentation that will follow. So with that being said, I direct your attention to the screens on both sides of the stage for this brief video, and when we come back, we'll have our presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my esteemed honor to introduce our keynote presenter for Glendale's Unity, MLK Unity Lunch, Mr. Jim Swerd.
I used to jokingly say I just went along for the ride. It's a real honor for me to be here to speak to you on this Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Lunch. I met Dr. King in September of 1961 when his organization, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, honored the 10 students from Nashville who continued the Freedom Rides. Dr. King was kind of short in stature, which I found interesting in that he was and is revered as such a giant in the struggle for human rights. Dr. King was a gifted orator with a poetic quality to his writing and speaking. Over the years, most of his speeches and writings have been discussed, memorized, dissected, debated, time and time again. But one subject that he spoke and talked about has too often been neglected. For those of us in the movement, and especially including Dr. King, what united us was a deep faith in and an unwavering commitment to the power of nonviolence. So today I'd like to share with you the principles of nonviolence that Dr. King outlined in his book, Stride Toward Freedom, and why I believe that a commitment to nonviolence is key to making ourselves, our communities, and our world a more free, just, and loving place, what Dr. King referred to as the beloved community. King's first principle of nonviolence states that nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. Embracing nonviolence is not for the faint of heart. It is not a method of cowardice. It does resist. Nonviolence is non-aggressive physically, but it is strongly aggressive spiritually. You have to push yourself beyond the comfort of old habits, and this requires strength. You may not always be popular for speaking the truth or acting in compassion. You may face personal attacks and physical attacks. We students were threatened, beaten, jailed. Some were expelled from school. Nonviolent direct action is not easy. It is demanding of body, mind, and soul. When I first began attending nonviolent workshops, I had no idea what was going on and what was involved. But I listened to the discussions concerning making nonviolence a way of life, and to the personal testimonies of the students who were members of the movement. I observed young people putting their beliefs into action. I witnessed a bond between them that was so much more than friendship. It was a very special kind of love. It was a love that strengthened and sustained individuals so that they could face so much more than they ever could alone. The students were part of the nonviolent movement, and the nonviolent movement was part of them. I also studied the scripture passages and the examples that were put before us. Some of them were pretty challenging. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus taught, "You've heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." And listen to the words of the Apostle James. "What use is it for a man to say he has faith when he does nothing to show it? Suppose a brother or a sister is in rags with not enough food for the day. And one of you says, 'Good luck to you. Eat well. Hey, get a lot to eat. Take it easy.' But does nothing to meet their bodily needs. What's the good of that?" So with faith, if it does not lead to action, it is in and of itself a lifeless thing. I never prayed more earnestly or searched my soul more deeply But ultimately, I realized what I didn't want to see. Nonviolent direct action. Innocent suffering. Redemptive love. Forgiveness and reconciliation are the very essence of the gospel message. It calls us and challenges us to live our faith as never before. And it's not just Christianity. I believe most of the world's religions have a basis in nonviolent direct action. Islam means peace. Judaism has the vision of shalom. Gandhi exemplified Hinduism as the spiritual life of active nonviolence. Shintoism and Buddhism call for compassion toward all living beings. Well, I made a decision. I decided that nonviolence would be the direction in my life. And once you make that commitment, you can never be the same again. That's because the first person that is transformed by nonviolence is the person who embraces it. Nonviolence is revolutionary in the deepest sense of that word because it transforms the spirit behind our attitudes. Once we take the spirit of nonviolence and internalize it, we develop a greater sense of wholeness and meaning in our lives. We cultivate virtues like love, truth, commitment, respect, courage, self-discipline, honesty, and social responsibility. Goals like domination, conquest, retaliation, and revenge no longer drive actions. When this happens, the stage is set for a dramatic transformation in the way we deal with others. Nonviolence, states the next principle, seeks to win friendship and understanding. A commitment to nonviolence in our personal lives requires a new approach to resolving conflicts and achieving our objectives without making enemies. Most people deal with a conflict by first asking, what do I have to do to get my way? This is the normal way of dealing with a conflict. But when we respond this way, as we all so often do, we're letting our egos manage the situation. There's a better way. When we make nonviolence our way of life, the first question we ask when a problem arises is, what is the most compassionate thing to do? When we think this way, we overcome the narrow, selfish concerns of the ego. Nonviolence means connecting to the potential of your adversary. How much more powerful it is to recognize the potential for good in your adversary, to foster that potential, and to help them realize and reach that potential. Nonviolence helps us to communicate more effectively with our adversaries and resolve disputes in a way that benefits everyone. That's how we win friendship and understanding. And the third principle of nonviolence is very similar because it also addresses how we deal with others. It reminds us that nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. Nonviolence differentiates between an unjust society and those people who are practicing the injustice or the prejudice or the segregation or the hatred or the violence. Nonviolence is not used to inflict harm, but to bring healing. It recognizes that our enemy is not the person we face, but their prejudice. We confront the hate, not the hater. The prejudice, not the person with that prejudice. The segregation, not the segregationist. Instead of returning anger with anger, we respond with calm, understanding, love, and forgiveness. We challenge negative energy and violence with a loving, positive attitude. We resolve the conflict not with the attitude of a conqueror, but with the motivation of one committed to peace and reconciliation with your adversary. For me, the most meaningful, critical principle of nonviolence is that nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. Violence is destructive. Nonviolence is constructive. Along the way of life, said Dr. King, someone must have enough courage and sense of morality to cut the chain of hate by projecting the ethics of love to the very center of our lives. The key to making nonviolence your way of life is to reject all forms of violence and hatred and to make love the guiding principle of all your relationships. The Apostle Paul describes this love beautifully. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Violence begets violence. Hatred is blinding. A person in the grip of hatred is controlled by the anger and cannot rule his or her own life. The person who's filled with hatred cannot achieve their human potential. He or she is unable to give of themselves, can never be at peace with the universe, and even more tragic, can never fully love. Love and nonviolence are inseparable. Together, they constitute the most powerful agent for change in the universe. Our Nashville Statement of Purpose expressed it this way: love is the eternal motif of nonviolence. Love is the force by which God binds man to himself and man to man. Such love goes to the extreme. It remains loving and forgiving even in the midst of hostility. It matches the capacity of evil to inflict suffering with an even more enduring capacity to absorb evil, all the while persisting in love. In the end, there is no way violence can ever defeat nonviolence, because every violent act changed minds and touched hearts, and the nonviolent side was stronger for it. Here's another key principle of nonviolence. Suffering for a just cause can educate and transform. Nonviolence calls us to voluntary, redemptive suffering. Suffering, said Gandhi, is infinitely more powerful than the law of the jungle for converting the opponent and opening their ears, which have otherwise been closed, to the value of reason. Nelson Mandela watched his people suffer involuntarily from apartheid. Mandela decided that his suffering would count. He didn't join the anti-apartheid terrorists that butchered and maimed their enemies, nor did he suffer apartheid in silence. He took a public stand against unjust laws. He was arrested, beaten, and imprisoned. But that kind of voluntary, redemptive suffering moved minds and hearts around the world. And apartheid was overcome. The beatings of the Freedom Riders in Birmingham and Montgomery caused a similar level of awareness and concern across the country and around the world. Federal, state, and local authorities were called to account. And suddenly, long overdue changes began to happen. That's the educational and transforming power of innocent suffering. And now let me share with you Dr. King's final and most comforting principle of nonviolence. Nonviolence holds that the universe is on the side of justice, and that right will ultimately prevail. At its best, nonviolence and a labor of love. Nonviolence requires great faith. It was not by chance that faith was so important to the nonviolent movement. We knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that there was a power far greater than any one of us or all of us combined that was working within us and through us. We always ended our meetings and workshops by singing, "We Shall Overcome." It's a song that says, no matter what we've been through or what we may have to go through, we are focused. And we are dedicated to our main objective. We sang holding hands. Our common bond pulling us closer together. We sang with our right arm over our left, signifying our certainty that eventually justice, truth, and love will ultimately prevail. Dr. King referred to our objective as the beloved community. Like us, there are people around the globe who share that vision. People deeply concerned about violence, widespread suffering, environmental destruction, escalating materialism, and the loss of our sense of community. People who want to help build a better world. Today is a good day to remember that we all have the capacity to take our citizenship and our ideals to heart. The power for social transformation lies within each one of us. If we really want to have a just, more loving, more peaceful world, we first must become more just, more loving, and more peace-filled. Gandhi put it beautifully. Become, he challenged, the change you want to see in the world. This is my challenge for you today. Bring nonviolence into your life. And then offer the gift of nonviolence to your family, to your classmates, your co-workers, your community. Because you are important. Everything you do is important. When you forgive, the universe is transformed. When you perform an act of kindness, seen or unseen, our world is changed. When you reach out and touch a heart or a life, our country moves one step closer to making Dr. King's dream a reality. The establishment of the beloved community. Thank you very much.
Given what I've been through the past couple of days, I think, Mr. Swerg, you might have been talking to me personally. I feel revived. Nonviolence Jim, thank you for that powerful message. I think we knew about the Freedom Riders and the things you went through, but I think your message of the various principles associated with nonviolence and why you have a disposition the way that you do gives us a greater appreciation for you and the Freedom Riders and what you represent. So thank you. And as part of our... Please accept the gift, the chocolates, I presume, Joe?
Yep.
We're actually giving it to you to give to your wife. But that's part of our signature appreciation for here in Glendale. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zwerg, for those moving and inspirational words this afternoon. He gave us marching orders, didn't he? What would we do? What would you do if you were in this situation? We are so blessed to live in a state where we have people like Jim Zwerg, where we have people like Stephen Elias Lumm, where we have people like Art Hamilton and Sandra Kennedy. We are so blessed to live in a state rich with these sorts of leaders. At this time, it is my pleasure to bring another leader forward at this time, the City of Glendale City Manager, Mr. Ed Beasley. He would like to give a few closing comments.
You know, it's with pride I look out in this audience. 15 years ago we hoped, and we never could have dreamed that this would be what would end up. And it's not because of one single thought. It's because of the fact of a community, an organization, a council that didn't give up a dream that could be realized, that people could come together that had different thoughts, different backgrounds, and different beliefs, and still act as one in a community. You know, I feel blessed in the sense that to hear the speaker today, and as Don said, that it's so easy to get angry. And the lessons of what you would do versus now what will we do are even so more important, because the struggle's not over. And that's not a bad thing. It reminds us of what we still need to do as individually. And in closing, what I want to make sure that we impart to each other is this, is that the struggle not being over because of the fact that it may not be with hoses, it may not be with dogs, it may be with injustice, it may be with words, it may be with actions, but the response doesn't change. Love, being able to know that you can't be violent, and knowing that if you stand up for the truth, the right thing is going to happen in the end. And that's what any organization, that's what any community, and that's what any individual must be blessed to remember. You don't have to live in the past and even be here in the present to change your future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beasley. And again, thank all of you for being here today. It has truly been an honor for me to serve as your Mistress of Ceremonies. ABC 15 News appreciates each and every one of you. And again, we are reaching out into the community, so please reach out to us. If there's something we can do for you, allow us to do that. Our final speaker of the night is one of our co-chairs, Stuart Kent. As he makes his way to the podium, I would again like to thank APS. Let's give them another round of applause for being our title sponsor. Make sure you take your energy-efficient light bulb with you before you go. I have truly enjoyed myself this afternoon, and I work on my dash each and every day. A guardian ad litem volunteer told me that many years ago. I said, why do you do this? Why are you volunteering? You're not getting anything in return. She said, Susan, I do get so much in return. Each and every day that I get up and fight for these young people in court, I'm working on my dash. I said, working on your dash? She said, when we're born and when we die, we'll be on our tombstone, but it's the dash in the middle that will really, truly be what we live by, our legacy. That is what we have left. So let's continue to work on our dash as we head out of here today. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Dr. Martin Luther King Day. Please get out and do something positive for someone in your community. God bless all of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. My name is Stuart Kent, and I just wanted to first of all thank Susan Casper for her work today in emceeing this entire event and keeping us pretty close to on schedule. So thank you again very much.
Can I say something?
Please.
This is one of the main reasons I come to this event. No, I'm just kidding. I do love the chocolates, though. Thank you. This is my favorite.
Second, I would also like to recognize Vicki Bond, who has been our interpreter and provided services today for the entire event. Vicki, thank you very much. My next to last statement, I'd also like all the members of the Diversity Committee and the Unity Day Committee that put this event on. This is certainly something that takes a village to put together, and I think 2 villages. And so if those folks would please stand and be recognized by everyone in attendance, I would appreciate it. Thank you. My final comments may be the best received of the evening, or the afternoon, almost evening. 2 things. One, everyone had received pink tickets on their bread trays that referenced a raffle ticket. We have 6 pairs of tickets to Monday's, January 16th, Coyotes hockey game against the Colorado Avalanche, provided by the city, by the Phoenix Coyotes, and we wanted to go ahead and make sure to raffle those off. And y'all are going to have to trust me that there's actually everybody's ticket is in here. Just very quickly, if your number is called, please bring it up to me at the end when we're done. Then I'll go ahead and hand you your tickets and a gift bag of some things that came from the Coyotes. Again, I'll just read the last 4 digits, 5338. I hear no yelp. Is that someone who got it? Excellent. Okay. Just want to make sure we go through all of them. Next one, 5397. 5397 in the back there. Did someone get it? Excellent. Okay. Oh, great. Thanks. Oh, shake it up. Look at the lack of trust. We just finished this great inspirational speech. Immediately it's, no, you're not calling my number. Wow. That's a tough crowd, I'll tell you what. The next number is, excuse me, you're right, the light is good. 5693, 5693. The next number is 5658, 5658. That's for, one more after this. The next number is, 5656. 5656. We have one more number. Thank you, Susan. And the last number is 5359. 5359. I think I saw a hand go up over here in the corner. Excellent. Everybody, as my last and official final act, if each of you among your table will discuss among yourselves whose birthday is closest to Dr. King's of January 15th. The person whose birthday is closest to that date gets the centerpiece, and please take that home with you with our compliments. Again, thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you.